Good evening, family. Good morning or good afternoon, whenever you turn this video on. Tonight, we're going to have an intellectual discussion about where we are in America and where we are as individuals. God has put something on my heart that I want to share with you. I know I haven't done a video for a while. Shout out to all you guys who've been so supportive and 007, and God bless all y'all. Carolyn, thank you so much for being my moderator for tonight. Blackboard, hey girl, how you doing? How you doing? And Ellie, how you doing? I appreciate you guys for coming in. And Sister Blackfoot jumped in early. She said, Shirley girl, where you been? Where you been? I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm alive. I'm excited because tonight is for intellects. Tonight is for people who want to know where we are in our perspective as a culture of Americans, as Black Americans, and as Americans as a whole. For every action is a reaction. For every non-action is the aftermath. We are living the aftermath of elected officials who have put in place laws, sanctions, foreclosures, forbearance that are going to affect the future of America. And I think that we need to discuss that. As you see by the title, today is Juneteenth Day. Shout out to every African American descendant of slave who has relatives that date back to 1619, for we are celebrating a federal holiday, which I'm excited and I'm grateful for. But remember, this holiday is not a Black holiday. For those who may be white and say, how could you say that? It's not a Black holiday. It is an American holiday. These were Americans who sacrificed their life, who created and developed a thread of America. And they embedded their lives and their souls so that you could live the lifestyle that you live today. Unfortunately, the freedom that was supposed to be allocated to us during that time frame was not truly allocated for all until June 19th, 1866. Lord help me, let me get these numbers right. 1866. So what does that mean? 901 days later, after the emancipation, Texas finally acknowledged that slavery was no longer in existence. I think this is wonderful. I think this is great. But what's next? Because there's smoke and mirror in the room. There's smoke and mirror in the air. And if we don't discuss the smoke and mirror, we will continue to have this illusion that we understand what's going on in this country. So let me cut to the chase. I want you guys to focus on three things: God, family, and country, food, water, and shelter. Because if we are not focusing on God, family, and country, and food, water, and shelter, we are going to miss the boat. And that boat meaning that there's a lot of people who are getting ready to be going through eviction. There are a lot of people who don't understand that inflation is a reality in America. Our gas is going up, our food prices are going up, our lifestyles of living have changed. Many people have wasted a lot of money with this moratorium that has been going on. And evictions have already started. Some states are slower than others, but most states are moving forward. So my question is, how do you deal with the distractions? Cynthia says something here. Here she goes. She's in Texas. Kids celebrating. How will we make a federal empower Black people? Okay. How will we empower the financials? Please tell me. Wake up, Black people. This means nothing. Okay, I agree with you. I won't say it means nothing. I think it makes Americans who are immigrants and migrants understand the importance of descendants of slaves. But for us to be excited about Juneteenth and think that we're going to get money allocated out of it, we're not. There's not a form of reparations out of this at all. So I think that people have to clarify that. Matter of fact, white people and all other people get to benefit because they get a federal holiday, so they get a day off of work. It's an acknowledgement of something that happened in this country regarding descendants of slaves. But when we talk about leverage and opportunity, no, there's no leveraging this opportunity other than you get an extra day off of work. So yeah, that's what you're dealing with. My son's birthday, that's why we celebrated. I've been signed to press. Well, absolutely. Congratulations. Happy birthday to your son, Caroline. I think that the fact that it fell on his birthday is a blessing because even though we're not impressed, we still want him to identify and understand what is going on in this country. There's a lot of you guys out there and you're putting your shots out, and I appreciate that. I think the key thing that I want you to understand, though, is that if God and family and country is not a priority for you, you're going to become, how do I say, you're going to become dismantled by what is about to hit America. We are about to be embarked upon the worst inflation in U.S. history. And I'll tell you why. Because when the federal government told people not to make any payments to their mortgage, to their student loans, to their landlord, to whoever you were supposed to make payments to, and then they didn't set up a forbearance, something kind of financing to offset this do not make any payments, well, that's a problem because you have a lot of people who have been wasting money and not paying any of their bills and not been saving anything. You know, we talk about reparations. I want to talk about preservation. If you are not prepared to have yourself in a preservation mode, 007, thank you for coming in. We're going to have a special guest tonight. 007 is going to come in. So you guys be patient. You're going to love him. He's been on our show before, but we're going to talk about this together because me and him have had private discussions about this. But if you are not prepared for a preservation plan of action regarding the evictions that we're going to see at a monumental scale that we've never seen in U.S. history, a homeless scale we've never seen in U.S. history. You're going to see more furniture on the streets. You're going to have more people who are incompassionate towards you. People will be getting more aggressive. Listen to me. Pay attention. Write this down. Get a notepad. You need to have a preservation plan of action in your life. Because if you're sitting back right now, you say, Shirley, I have not made any payments because they told me not to, and I shouldn't have to worry. You should be very concerned. You should think about how much money you have right now that you can have a plan of action to get out of that situation. Because if you don't plan on paying that landlord all the money that you've been stocking and saving, or you've been playing with, you in trouble, boo-boo. And I strongly recommend that you start thinking about another place to live or moving to another state. Because there's other states like Mississippi and Alabama, they have properties that are very cheap that you can get a house. And if you come in with 20 to 30% down, even with bad credit, you will still be able to buy a house. So, for example, if you bought a house for $60,000, 10% of $60,000 is what? $6,000. 20% is what? $12,000. So if you come in with 20% or 25%, you come in and say, hey, I got to buy at least 10,000. No, excuse me, at least 15 to 20,000 saved up with you and a partner. You guys could go buy a house together. You need to start collaborating. I've said that over and over in my videos previously. I say it now. So we're talking about preservations. For those who just chimed in, my name is Shirley Husar, Husar. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. So make sure that you follow me on Facebook and Instagram. When we talk about water and shelter, you know that the water prices are going up. Do you guys know there's a water shortage in America? If you're going to continue to take immigrants and migrants into this country and offer EB-5 visas, and yet you have a large portion of people who are homeless in this country, how do people bathe themselves? How are people going to stay clean in this country? Where's sanitation going to go in this country when you have mounds and mounds of people living together? That is a big problem. And we need to discuss that because the more that we discuss that, the more we have a clarity of who we are and where we are. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Flagship. Flagship is a good friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
No, Flagship may come in. I called him. This is 007. 007, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Happy Juneteenth Day. I know you were at Leimert Park. I couldn't do Leimert Park today, but you and a gentleman named Damon Alexander, shout out to Alexander, who is an elected official, a city council for San Bernardino. You were hanging out with him today, and you guys were enjoying the people. Can you share your experience of Juneteenth? And let's get into it and talk about the pros and cons and what's next.
It was a great event, but we were there because they were going to be doing some other stuff in terms of political. But I guess they could not find a they couldn't find a stage for us to do this on. So, but anyway, we got to talking to a lot of people that lived in the community or were just at the event. And we were talking about the strongholds in the state of California, where black people are, at 5.4% of the state of California, entire state of California.
Mm.
We're talking about 2 years ago, we were at 6.8%. Before that, it was 9.8%. So we're dwindling down very fast. And we were saying, where were they going? Some said they were going to San Bernardino, Riverside. But looking at some studies, we're moving out because we can't afford it. We're being priced out. And we're being priced out even in San Bernardino. Um, we're talking Oakland. We talked about Oakland in that area. It's pretty much gone. They said some black areas down there. I forgot what they had said, but they were just saying everywhere because Oakland was pretty much black. Um, Black representation was very heavy, and now it's down to it's not down to it's about down to um, what did he say about 5% black in that whole Bay Area.
Okay, so
So
let me ask you this. If we're living in times where Black people are already struggling, we got
mhm,
that. We know that we are a culture of people that are suppressed, oppressed, and being pushed out. We have a clarity on that. I think my main concern is people who have never ever struggled, people who have never been dispositioned are about to be dispositioned. And I think that's what I kind of want to prepare the people for, especially for those who are in forbearance or have not made their payment to their landlord or to their mortgage people. These landlords are putting people out.
yeah, yeah. I mean, because I'm in Inglewood, so all I see is furniture pushed out on the line. You know, people are getting out so fast. They already started evictions, and I'm sure a lot of apartment owners couldn't wait for that. You know, before this even started, people said they ain't gonna have to pay their rent, it was a lot of there was a lot of information going out when this pandemic started, and a lot of bad information. And I don't believe the government prepared anybody for what's going on. I mean, if you didn't get sick, but you lost your job, what plans do you have? If you have no job, and you just found a job, and it's been a year, do anyone have a plan? And I would suggest that I told a lot of people, you know, uh, communicate with. There, I mean, there are so many programs that are out here, and I don't think a lot of black people know that. I think there was so much going on towards hating Trump, Biden getting in office, because you got to remember the pandemic was in the elections, during the elections. So um, a lot of people was all concerned about that and not concerned about themselves.
No, that's
And
true.
and,
Now
and so
listen. I want to show you. You mentioned California. I want to show you something I found in Dallas. Watch this video. Look at this video. And we're talking about evictions going on right now in this country. Now, people keep saying, "Well, they're not going to evict me. They're not going to put me out. I'm okay. I should be fine." Well, there's other people who are not fine in this country. They are truly being put out. California right now has said that they're not going to be putting people out till January. How true is that? Not true, because what you'll find out is that landlords. This thing is taking forever to show. Hold on a second. Landlords, let's reboot this, are here we go. Landlords are still foreclosing and taking people out. Okay, we gotta wait through the commercial. Let me turn that sound down. Sorry, y'all. I'm gonna mute this sound just a second. I want you to see this video where you have these people who were put out. They were put out of their properties, and they had no clue of understanding that they needed to do something with their money. I guess my question is, what did these folks do with all that money that they had? They had a lot of money. What did they do with it? Let's find out. Here we go.
Are slowly returning as states challenge the moratorium imposed during the pandemic. The trickle of evictions could soon become a flood as renters owe up to $53 billion to landlords. Here's CBS's Omar Villafranca. A wave of evictions despite a federal ban. Today in Dallas, Anthony Upshaw and his 17-year-old son are being put out of their home. They're going to show up and kick me out. My kid up there doing his schoolwork. There's like 3 weeks of school left before the kids graduate. The Texas Supreme Court lifted the moratorium on evictions March 31st. The Dallas-Fort Worth area has the third most eviction filings in the country. We're going to put everybody out the first chance they got. Upshaw lost his job early in the pandemic and has been struggling since. Constables placed his belongings in the front yard. Where are you going to go? We don't know yet. We haven't figured that part of it out yet. This could be the first signs of an expected tsunami of evictions as the nationwide moratorium is lifted. Up to 40 million Americans are at risk to lose their home. The moratorium was supposed to protect everybody until the end of June. Black families are twice as likely as whites to face eviction. The ideal that, it's now okay to kick everybody out as if the virus is over with, it's not. His neighbor, Linda Bowie, is also being evicted.
I'm worried, but I can't do nothing about it. I can't keep crying over it.
She has 24 hours to leave. Where are you going to sleep tonight?
In my son's car right there.
You're prepared for that?
No, I'm not, but we ain't got nowhere else to go.
He put me out right now. Their landlord, Peter Sy, says his mortgage is still due even though rent is not being paid. So how much money is that you're owed?
Total about 25 to 28,000.
How long have you been losing money?
About 7-8 months already.
It's like America going backwards, you know what I mean?
For now, Anthony has temporarily moved into a motel while his son finishes school.
So the stuff, it ain't even important. Just as long as me and my kid good, we good.
But Linda has not been as lucky. She's currently living in her car. Anthony and Linda are surviving the COVID pandemic, but are victims of the COVID economy. Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Dallas.
And tomorrow we're going to take you inside eviction court.
So yeah, Deep. What's your thoughts?
Business as usual.
What'd you say?
Business as usual.
Man, I don't really.
I mean, because now I don't think a lot of people, and the thing is that the news is really a bad culprit, because they could have came out with a lot of programs that help people, but they didn't. And there was a lot of money that was in those bills to help people relocate. But here's the thing, everybody was so much up on the presidency thing, the elections, people was more concerned about that than about themselves. And because there's a program called PATH, PATH, PATH. That's another organization that can help you relocate. The Salvation Army, they
You
have
said,
some.
hold on, I'm gonna look it up. It's called PASS.
Yeah,
What?
PATH, PATH.
Or relocating or what?
They can relocate you as well as prevent you from being evicted. But if you're too far along, they're just gonna relocate you.
Okay, all right, I'm listening. Keep going.
And so there's the Salvation Army. Also, if you're in the California area, Los Angeles area, just contact 211 and they'll get you some help. But it's sad because it seemed like the news was broadcasting everything that was not really important, and they're not telling you, because those people, when I saw those people get evicted down here in Inglewood, they thought they had till January. And so a lot of people thought they had to a certain time to get out. And if I'm not mistaken, it was just a month ago they lifted the moratorium in Los Angeles County, and then the state of California. If you know, so they started because they took it to court, and the judge says, "Hey, you can't do that." So they're going to start. They had started just as early as last month. So them people don't want to hear the excuses. They just want you out. Now I'm gonna tell you this much: the courts are going to be so much impacted on evictions that it may take some time to actually evict people because of the extent amount of people that are being kicked out. You know, so I mean, because this has never happened, because you already had a moratorium on top of the evictions that were supposed to happen
Right, right, right,
a year ago. So now you got an extra 20 something thousand more.
right, right. No, that's just true.
You know, so I think that the thing is that if you know anyone, they had everything as far as paying your light bills, because your gas bill, the Southern California Edison gas, they all had a moratorium, but they had just stopped and lifted that moratorium last month. So things are going to go back to normal. So, but they have been giving out some information. It's all up to the people that if they want to do something about their situation. But I just think like all these councilmen, and you know the thing is, when Mark Ridley Thomas spoke today, he didn't say one word about that.
Right. It's the white elephant in the room. It's the same thing with the black churches. Nobody's talking about the foreclosures, the evictions, the homeless people, and the trash and the filth that continues to pile up nationwide. Let's watch this video. Let's hear what they have to say. Hold on a second.
On evictions is set to expire June 30th. The clock is ticking for millions of Americans who've gotten behind on their rent payments during the pandemic. The federal moratorium on evictions is set to expire June 30th, and it's facing new legal challenges in court. The government is now racing to allocate more than $40 billion in emergency rental assistance to those in need, as landlords try to keep their businesses afloat as well. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has this story. Before the pandemic, single mother of two, Tania Rogers says she had never missed a rent payment. What happened with your work when the pandemic hit?
So when the pandemic hit, my job was essentially cut short. And I was told that we had to stay home as the rest of, pretty much the rest of the world.
Rogers' paychecks from her job at a school in Washington, D.C. stopped coming, but the rent checks kept piling up.
February is kind of when I hit a real rock bottom where I didn't have any money anymore, no reserves, no anything.
So you're about $6,000 behind on rent right now. How does that feel?
It doesn't feel good. I mean, I'll be real, it doesn't feel good.
With her 7-year-old and 2-year-old boys still out of school, Rogers drives for Uber Eats to try to pay the bills, bringing the kids along for the ride.
You have to get out your car to give the order to someone. My kids are in the car by themselves. I'm going to be looked at as being neglectful. And that's not right. You know, what other choices do I have? If I don't do Uber Eats, we don't have anything. You know, we don't have money. I can't get groceries and whatnot. I can't pay the rent. You know, the situation is already, I can't pay the rent.
Rogers is one of more than 8 million Americans currently behind on rent and facing the risk of eviction.
Just for comparison, it's about twice as many homeowners that lost their homes during the foreclosure crisis.
Twice as many homeowners who actually did lose their.
I want to pause it right here. What did they say? 8 million people? What are we at? 8 million?
8 million.
8 million. This is worse than 2005 to me. I fast forward the sucker. This is worse than 2005 because in 2005, you had people who were getting foreclosed on, but the challenge was they were not told not to make any payments. Now we live in an economy where the government told these people don't make any payments, stay home, which she did. And she lost her job, which she did. and now she's behind in her rent. And I think what we're trying to tell you guys who are watching these videos that this is a tsunami that's erupting, that we are distracted by so many other things like Juneteenth and everything else going on in our life. You're going to walk down the street and you're going to start seeing more people with furnitures, and more people who are homeless who've never been in a disposition situation. Here's a lady, a prime example of that. But if you're going to talk about 8 million people who are going to be evicted, that means there's probably more, because they never tell you the full numbers.
Bills, bringing the kids along for the ride.
You have to get out your car to give the order to someone. My kids are in the car by themselves. I'm going to be looked at as being neglectful. And that's not right. You know, what other choices do I have? If I don't do Uber Eats, we don't have anything. You know, we don't have money. I can't get groceries and whatnot. I can't pay the rent. You know, the situation is already that I can't pay the rent.
Rogers is one of more than 8 million Americans currently behind on rent and facing the risk of eviction.
Just for comparison, it's about twice as many homeowners that lost their homes during the foreclosure crisis.
Twice as many homeowners who actually did lose their homes during the financial crisis are now facing the threat of eviction today.
That's right.
A federal moratorium on evictions has kept millions of Americans in their homes during the pandemic. It was first passed last spring as part of the CARES Act and was extended by the CDC until June 30th.
The eviction moratoriums that have been in place, that's allowed people some security, but it's also some uncertainty because it's had to be extended so many times.
Earlier this month, a federal judge ruled that the CDC had exceeded its authority and the eviction ban was unconstitutional. But after an appeal from the Biden administration, the judge said Friday the eviction freeze can temporarily stay in place.
We knew from the beginning that the moratoriums were just a Band-Aid approach to being able to protect renters during the crisis.
Advocates say the eviction ban has been critical for public health, keeping people in their homes and not forced into tight quarters during the pandemic. But it's not foolproof. Researchers at Princeton, tracking 5 states and 28 cities, found landlords have still filed for more than 337,000 evictions during the pandemic.
Her landlord refusing to comply with the CDC and state moratorium on evictions.
We had rented it to her knowing, it would be just a year rental.
By November, she was behind on rent. Her landlord filed for eviction.
It's been horrible.
Dean Hunter is an advocate for a small landlords group in Washington, D.C. He supported the moratorium at the onset, saying tenants adversely impacted by COVID should not be evicted. But he says the ongoing ban now risks putting small landlords out of business.
They're small businesses, and they should be treated as such.
Do you think people forget that some of these landlords are also taking care of their own families, that they need to pay their own bills too?
Yeah, there's a narrative that all landlords are multimillionaires and large corporations, but it's just not true. Investing in real estate is a small business, right? You own a rental property, you produce an income. It's been a great way to build generational wealth.
Hunter says the D.C. and federal governments should steer their efforts toward the more than $40 billion in federal aid passed since December for both renters and landlords.
Okay, so I have a question. Where did all this money go? Because if we got all this money that was given to people during the pandemic, then the people weren't paying their bills. Hold on. You're getting pandemic money, and you have whatever money you had when you had your job. If you were still getting money from your job, what did people do with their money, 007?
Well, a lot of that money, there's a lot of money that went to the housing authorities. There's a lot of money that went to a lot of non-government organizations that's supposed to help the homeless. I think if people had watched the news a couple of months ago, somebody exposed that they wasn't doing anything with the homeless, putting them in, because what they were supposed to do, what FEMA was supposed to do, was basically, which they did, is get all these hotels and put elderly and people that have medical issues in those hotels. But first they said they're going to put the homeless in those hotels. Then they went and kind of fixed the rules up and said, no, it's going to be elderly and it's going to be um, um, people that have sick
No,
ailing
no, no.
issues.
And I understand and I respect what you're saying. I want to go back to where did all the money go? I'm talking about if these people got money, everybody got money, EDD money, right? You got
Oh
EDD,
yeah.
PP, A, B, C, D, E, F, G money. What did you do with
TP
that money? And because you got that money, and then while you were getting that money, you weren't paying your landlord. What did you do with
Oh yeah.
all that? That's all I'm asking. I'm not trying to throw stones. I think this is going to be very horrible for a lot of
Yeah.
people who were not making payments, a lot of people who did not plan, a lot of people who just continues to follow the socialist regime. You've heard me do
That's
videos
stupid
before.
though.
Huh?
When this first kicked off, people was receiving what do you call that, unemployment, and they just wasn't paying anything. And they was getting other money, they wasn't paying anything.
Your
So
voice is going in and out. You're in a bad area. Get in a better area.
Okay, can you hear me?
Try a better area.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, a lot of people was getting money from the EDD, other entities. They wasn't paying anything. And they didn't care. They didn't care. Now they're trying to say, oh, I miss it. I was telling friends of mine that was getting money. And they were just saying, we ain't got to pay nothing. And so where you think, like, the help is going to come from? They give it to you. So he was like, oh, man, cool.
Yeah, but I don't understand that kind of attitude where you think these people are just going to keep giving you money and you living under a socialist regime. We talked about socialism, you guys, right? For those who have been following me and listening to me, and I've told you that this isn't a government, especially a Biden administration that wants to continue to promote inflation and socialism. Well, this is an example of it, where now you are totally dependent upon a government to protect and take care of you. But obviously that's not going to happen here. Let's finish out this video.
Much of the money has been slow to get to those in need.
The government, frankly, is not doing enough to get the tenants to apply. Where are the TV commercials? Where are the bus ads?
Exactly.
Where are the celebrity sponsorship telling people to apply for rental assistance? There is more money available for rental assistance than there ever has been.
We're in a bit of a race against the clock now to try to get this money to renters in time to prevent their eviction by the time the federal eviction moratorium expires, potentially at the end of June.
With rent prices going up in many cities across the U.S., some argue rental assistance for both tenants and small landlords should be permanently expanded to help address homelessness and housing affordability. Census Bureau data shows the median price of rent increased nearly $200 this March compared to just 1 year earlier.
Wow.
The 10 million or so renter families who were struggling so mightily to pay the rent before the pandemic and struggled to pay it during the pandemic, they will continue to struggle to pay the rent after the pandemic, unless and until Congress invests in the long-term solutions that are needed to keep the lowest income people safely and affordably housed.
Nia Rogers says she's hopeful the pandemic has created an opportunity to find those long-term solutions to keep families like hers in their homes.
I feel strong that even if the moratorium was to end in some form, fashion, or way, things will work out, and that could be the thing that we talked around for faith. And I'm okay with saying that.
For ABC News, I'm Elizabeth Schulte in Washington.
Our thanks to Elizabeth for that.
So what's the solutions? Let's talk about solutions right now, because obviously we have an issue right now where you have forbearance and you have foreclosures and you have moratoriums that are all being disrupted. The truth of the matter is now breaking out. For those who just chimed in, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. Let me just kind of bring up some people's stimulus money as well. We all got it, or at least most of us. Yeah, I don't know, Carolyn, where the hell that money went to. Somebody help me out. I don't know. Go into some low-income housing areas. You'll see what they did. He said they She said they bought Dodge Chargers and designer bags on vacation. Oh my God. That Shining 76. I think 007 said that earlier today. We were on the phone. Like they went on and they bought new cars. They bought jewelry. Here's somebody else talking. Kevin J said they bought stuff. Capitalism makes generation the country, so breaks this country down. Okay. Dan says, hey, good morning to NC Works. I appreciate it. Somebody said something that was so, oh my God, Lisa, you are so funny. Lisa, you know you can email me. If you guys want to email or talk to me, my name is Shirley Hustar. You can email me at shirleyhustar@gmail.com. Lisa says, I love my people, but not ignorant. Okay, so what she's saying, let me clarify this, that there are certain Negroes and white people, shout out to the white people that watch me, that are just ignorant. People are just ignorant, and you know, ignorance is bliss for some people. They think, well, it's just gonna all fix itself. It's not gonna all fix itself. We are being disproportionately disabled. You see that they're showing a lot of these people are Black people, and something needs to be done. 007, what's your thought? Your phone is crackling a lot.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. The guy said earlier that there's a, where's all the movie stars and actors, and because there's money there, and that's true. And like I said earlier, there's money there, but what's crazy is that nobody is saying anything about it. And I'm thinking, is that their way of, these politicians' a way of taking the money? If they don't say nothing about it, because there's money there if you want to relocate, but you have to be on top of everything. But the thing is that it's much too late if you're already getting kicked out of your place. And the whole thing was to prevent you from being kicked out.
Right.
So people are getting kicked out, and it's, like I said, it's much too late again to really say, oh, well, I didn't know.
But a lot of those people, a lot of those people are irresponsible and now their money, right?
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people are saying this right now. Shining's saying that. Kevin J is saying that. They bought clothes and cars and stuff and went in there and got into the Bitcoin situation. Again, family, I told you, like I said earlier, it's about food, water, and shelter. And, this is it. God, family, country, food, water, and shelter. If you have not prioritized those issues, you're going to have problems. I mean, what's your thought, 007?
I have to say, not planning and not listening. A lot of these people, I mean, you go into Walmart, and Walmart stayed packed. You go into Ross stayed packed during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a lot of it rests on the people that got the money, and now they were given the money, and so there's not much they could say in their defense as to the reason why they lost their place. It's like I told a cousin of mine, man, give the landlord something. You got to remember, if he can't pay,
That's true. That's true.
if he can't pay to keep this place, then you're not going to be here either. So I think a lot of people just really thought, and I'm going to tell you how it's going to go. It's going to go like a very, politicians going to get votes for this. And you know how the Democrats love a good crisis. They're going to take this crisis and put some more money into this when it was already money allocated. I mean, they're giving money to illegals, they're giving money to other countries, and you got all these people outside. So, and now you're going to get some more people on outside. And I think a lot of that is because of ignorance.
Lisa, you need to come on live talking about I need to email you. Lisa, you got a lot of comments coming on. Lisa says she don't care. She says, I do not care about no other these than U.S. Well, this is the U.S. and these are your people. So level up, sister. Come on and come online. I didn't put the link for those who want to come in with me in 007 and discuss these matters. Kevin keeps saying, what happened to the $42 million African American reparations that they were talking about, the one-time payment of $325,000? I'm not familiar with that one. Are you familiar with that one, 007?
Yeah, they were supposed to talk about that today. I guess that's one of the reasons why they never picked a place to talk at the event today. Because I ran into the lady that the reparations, California Reparations for Now or something like that,
Okay.
.org. Those people were there today to do a whole session on about what's going on. So, but again, nobody found a place for us to have a venue to talk.
Well, like I said before, if we're going to talk about reparations, we need to talk about preservations, because preservation should be priority right now. I grant you, I'm a total person that believes in reparations, being a descendant of slaves, being able to date my family back to 1619. But I think there's a reality check that we have to look into the fact that people in abroad, black, white, no matter what ethnic background you're in, you're going to be facing foreclosures and evictions. The forbearance plans are looking like questionable right now. Homelessness and eviction and moratoriums are real. And if we don't identify those realness, we're going to have problems in this country. Now, California keeps giving the illusion like they got it going on. They have it done right. But 007 had to mute you for a second because you got a lot of background noise. But I want to share with you another article that happened in California. And this is California. California is talking about they're not going to eviction people until January 1. Now, this article just came out June the 19th, 2021. And let me just kind of let you hear a little bit of what Gavin Newsom, the governor that's currently in place.
California reopened its economy last week, but life is nowhere near back to normal for tenants trying to make their rent payments. Governor Gavin Newsom and the legislature must extend the state's eviction moratorium until the end of the year to prevent struggling Californians from becoming homeless or falling into levels of debt that will take years to overcome. If legislators do nothing, the state's COVID-19 tenant protections will end June 30th, leaving cities and counties scrambling to pick up the pieces. An estimated 2.7 million Californians lost their jobs due to the pandemic. Essential workers whose critical and often low-paid work kept the state functioning are also in danger of being evicted.
So if we talk about eviction, then we talk about what happens when you become evicted. Well, you get put out on the street. Well, where's all that damn money going to? There's a lot of money that we know that was put out there. This thing keeps showing stuff. Okay, here we go. And here it says they spent $11.8 billion on eliminating homelessness. That's what they said they're trying to do. $11.8 billion. Okay, in the Bay Area. Let's hear a little bit about this, which is a joke, because that money is not reaching these homeless people.
According to the Bay Area, an $11.8 billion investment can eliminate the homeless. Report the Bay Area Council, a business advocacy group, announced Thursday. The report calls for a one-time investment totaling $9.3 billion and $2.5 billion annually. The report's authors state that they can raise money from local, regional, and state sources of funding, including measures approved by voters who may raise $10 billion. According to amazing statistics on homelessness in the region, 73% of the homeless population is unsheltered, the highest percentage in the United States.
This is California, so that you can see this. Now, they're telling people that if they got $11.8 billion, they can fix this. And I'm going to tell you, they're lying. Let me tell you why they're lying, because this money has never gotten to these people. You guys know I've done videos back to 2016, 2017. And, I walk these streets. I've talked to some of these people. Those who have been following me for years know I've been exposing the wrongs in this country. And this is California. This is the part that they don't show you when you guys see advertisements in different states telling people, come visit California. Well, these are the people that you see. They talk about Skid Row. There is no Skid Row. It's called Skid State. Now, remember they said what did that article say? $11.8 billion will eliminate, which is a lie, eliminate. Okay. But then we have this article that came out in May. California governor proposed $12 billion. That was 11.8. This is $12 billion for home state homeless population. And now this is the governor. This man wants his job. That's why he's claiming all this stuff. But let's hear what he has to say. And then we're going to bring 007
California
back
Governor Gavin Newsom on Tuesday proposed $12 billion in new funding to get more people experiencing homelessness in the state into housing and to functionally end family homelessness within 5 years. Newsom's plan was announced in a statement, and he was expected to provide more details at a media event Tuesday morning in San Diego County. The first-term Democrat faces a recall election, mounted by Republicans and others unhappy with the way he has handled the pandemic, the economy, and government. The nation's most populous state has an estimated 161,000 people experiencing homelessness, which is more than any other state. A new state database shows that nearly 250,000 people sought housing services from local housing officials in 2020. Of that number, 117,000 people are still waiting for help, while nearly 92,000 people found housing. Watch. Can California figure out a way to house its growing homeless population? Newsom, a former mayor of San Francisco, where the homelessness is very visible, sees the twin crises of homelessness and affordable housing even before the pandemic started last year. He launched projects Room Key and Home Key, using federal funding to house homeless residents in hotels and motels during the pandemic, and helped cities, counties, and other local entities buy and convert motels and other buildings into housing. Newsom's new proposal includes $8.75 billion to expand on Home Key and to convert existing buildings into 46,000 units of housing. Newsom officials said $800 million spent on the program last year created 6,000 more housing units from motels, houses, dorms, and other repurposed buildings, providing shelter for 8,200 people. The average cost to convert a unit into housing for people experiencing homelessness was nearly $150,000. Newsom administration officials said at a recent briefing. They said that is much cheaper than building housing from scratch.
So this is what's happening in California. You've got these foreclosures and moratoriums where they're evicting people out, right? The forbearance is an agreement that the federal government said that they are not going to let people get foreclosed on, but they are. So, I mean, the reality of these numbers are real. There's a conversation, and here comes Flagship. So, Flagship, welcome on board. Welcome on board.
I love Shirley. I wish I can say that you were wrong, but you were not only right, but you have been right, and you're even more right, because I'm about to break it down to you and give you your own receipts, how you've been showing us about this. Because remember, you did a show, I think it was like a year and a half ago. No. It was before the pandemic, like I will say probably like September, August 2019 timeframe, where you talked about the homelessness in San Francisco, and you were showing videos of how all these people were in there. There were no restrictions. They were staying there. They were using the bathroom and defecating in the hallways. They were doing drugs in the hallways. I think it was something about one of the most legendary hotels in San Francisco, the most luxurious, was turned into a homeless shelter, and they ruined it. And then they had people sign all these waivers saying that you can't say nothing about it. It's utter disgusting, these liberals. And the thing is, this is not going to solve anything. $11 billion, and you didn't even put a dent in the homelessness. Come on now, these folks is using the money for other things besides just besides homelessness. Obviously, the money's not going there. And also, last point is, keep in mind, from 1998 up until this last election, there has been propositions on top of propositions just for homelessness. So that $11 billion, that was just based on the last proposition from election 2016 or 2018. But all the other money, they just think that we forgot about it. There's trillions of dollars that has been set aside for homelessness, but they don't want to solve homelessness.
No.
That's what people need to understand about liberalism. It is all a phony, a fake and a fraud, a part-time broad. That is liberalism. Period. Stop. Oh my God. No, I'm done. I can't say that right now. I'm so pissed at this story. I can't even get my thoughts together. Let me just be quiet for right now.
No, you've been right on point. I mean, I don't know what to say at this point, because when we talk about the number of people, that this is growing. This is just the tip of the iceberg, people. This is the beginning. This isn't like, okay, we're going to find a solution. Oh, no. They don't want the solution. They're spending and wasting money. And so now we have got all these evictions. I just showed you a video where this man and this black woman were put out by the landlord, the Asian landlord. God knows there's a lot of those out there, that they have no compassion. But you also heard by 007, there's a lot of organizations that will help you with your rent. You guys need to stop what you're doing and take whatever little money you got, get ready to move, reinvest that money, or go online and before you get put out. Don't be to the position where you're going to be put out, like what we just saw in this last video. I don't know where that video is, where people were put out. You guys need to get your money together and get prepared to do something different. So, I want to read this article real quick, and I'm gonna bring it. I appreciate Flagship, because like he said, we're speechless at this point. We don't know what to tell y'all. It's crazy. Let's listen to these numbers.
In its weekly snapshot of forbearance activity, Black Knight reports an expected mid-month lull in activity. The number of active forbearance plans declined again this week, if only by 7,000, Tuesday to Tuesday. That marks a total 117,000, or minus 5.4% reduction from the same time last month. As of June 15th, 2.06 million borrowers remain in COVID-19 related forbearance plans. Broken down by type of loan, 2.3% of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac-backed loans are in forbearance plans. 6.9% of Federal Housing Administration, FHA, and VA-backed loans are enrolled in forbearance programs. And 4.5% of portfolio privately securitized mortgage loans remain in such plans. While Fannie and Freddie and FHA VA loans improved at a rate of minus 6,000 and minus 4,000, respectively, private portfolio mortgages in forbearance rose by about 3,000. Starts and exits both dipped during the week, and removals were down 50% from the previous week, which the researchers at Black Knight say is typical mid-month behavior and month-end review cycles. New plan inflow was near the lowest weekly rate since the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, when Black Knight began tracking COVID-19 related forbearances, continuing the trend of gradual declines in start activity, the researchers report. Those experts expect exits to increase toward the end of the month, and to do so even more acutely in early July.
Okay, so you have over 400,000 people, more than that, on these forbearance plans, right? We're talking about percentages. I want you to understand that the forbearance means that the banks and the federal government says you cannot foreclose on these people, but people are getting foreclosed on, meaning they're losing their properties, and people are getting evictions that are put out of their properties. So the property owner is losing their property, and the property tenant is being put out. And so therefore you have homelessness, you have rats, you have roaches. There's talks of hawks that are now being released in the cities of Los Angeles because they love live prey, and their predecessor is rats. So there's a lot more rats. We talked about rats before. We talked about hepatitis A. We talked about the Black Plague. These are things that are going on when you have stages of this catastrophe of health and sanitation. Where do these people bathe? Where do they go to the bathroom? You guys saw when I did the video and I showed you where they were doing pooping in kitty litter. They were showing people how they could set up their own private toilet by basically taking a bucket and putting a kitty litter in it, and then they can put poop in it. I mean, these are the conditions that we're seeing in California. I'm sure this is going to grow nationwide. Remember, I took a picture like this a couple of years back. Well, this particular area has gotten even worse. These are people, you can see they had bikes, they had barbecues, they had stuff that they were in a location. Unfortunately, they had no location to go to.
But also, Shirley, also what you just said it right there. They were given kitty litter to poop in. and an area, that's where the money is going. They're trying to, this is what they want to do. This is what the liberals want to do. Because remember, liberal power is based on submission. If you are educated, have money and confident, and you're doing the damn thing, taking care of your kids are smart, your friends are smart and stuff like that, they cannot rule you. So what they really want to do through all the bull crap, and you peel out all the big words and the speeches, is they want to make you feel comfortable in the new America, which is homelessness, cyclical housing. If things go wrong, you don't get the assistance. The masses get the assistance. These are the bankers and the big time business owners and corporations. They get the hookup. You get whatever we tell you to, because we need to feel good about ourselves and be in control of you. So therefore we need you poor. And now what's happening is now Black people, we gonna be fine. Because we're accustomed to this. No matter what we do, we go back down. Every time we got our money up, we have mobs take our money. But this is what it's going to be interesting. I'm waiting to see what the white folks going to do. Because y'all ain't used to Because they ain't used to this. They don't know what's coming. We know what's coming because this is how we live normally. We always get screwed over. But the thing is, this is a deliberate crisis that was purely avoidable. And it's fixable. $11 billion, you could have just given people $110,000. And you could have just given all the homeless people in San Francisco $110,000, and that would have better solved the crisis than what we have now. Where's getting the money at?
Well, I'm trying to have a clarity of this. And somebody help me in the chat room. If you have all these people homeless, and then you let the borders open, and you let the illegal and the immigrants and the EB-5 visas over, what kind of America are you stirring up? Because
exactly
America are not realizing we're about to break upon a civil war. We're going into a civil war, a revolutionary war, because there are people who are fed up. They're just fed up with government and this Looney Tune president, which nobody wants to give any energy to or pay attention. He says the most craziest things, and the Democrats don't say nothing. And your gas is going up, your electric bills are going up, your food is going up, and this cuckoo for Cocoa Puff president and Camilla wannabe Black Biden and Kamala Harris protege, they're not helping us. They're not helping us.
And Juneteenth is bullshit. How are you gonna sit there and tell a group of people who were in chains and enslaved, chattel slavery, to where the people try to say, well, you could have left. We did try to leave the plantation, and they sent police to come get us, and they lynched us. This is not by choice. It was not forced immigration. And then for that, you're going to have a holiday that the same people who enslaved you, the liberals, the Democrats, because they owned us, the same people are going to have a holiday with the people that you enslaved. Meanwhile, you pass the anti-Asian bill. You see why Black folks is crazy? This is what makes us crazy. Stuff like this. And then who else? And also you got the biggest increase of homelessness are Black folks. How are they going to celebrate Juneteenth? There was barbecues on Juneteenth. Are they supposed to use those barbecues that Shirley just showed in the picture to feed everyone? Shirley, I don't even know what to say. It's unreal.
It's unreal. 007, talk to me. What's your thought on the subject matter?
Could you hear me?
I can hear you now. The crumble.
Okay, I got some static, but I have to agree with Flagship, and I got to ride on the tail end of that because he was 100% right. What we have here is basically Democrats that are doing this purposely, I believe, and a lot of its supporters is not saying nothing. And one of the things today, a lot of people wanted to face some of the Democrat supporters, and probably that's another reason why they could not. They did not want to give us a platform. I'm just totally believing that. But the thing is that I don't hear any supporters saying anything yet, and still, the homeless population is not hitting. You can see it. It was at the event. The homeless people were at the event outside the gate. There was, I hate to say it, but there was no food given to those people. There was nothing given to those people. And
Yeah, but what do you say about these people who got all this money and then didn't spend it right? I mean, all these poor people, y'all got PT, ABCD, EDD, KFG money, and what did you do with that money? And then you didn't want to pay your landlord, and then the federal government told these people not to make any payments. So that's why I said this is going to be worse than 2005.
Well, this is what I think is going to happen. I think the reason why they're extending the forbearance is due to the fact that the hedge fund companies haven't put their money together to do the big buy up. Because remember in 2008, because the thing is in 2008, in order for capitalism to work, there should have been a lot of rich people who should have been poor. But no, they got bailed out. Remember, these banks got bailed out. They were unable to fail. And no one went to jail. So now, and then also keep in mind what Dodd-Frank did. This is very, very important. Remember how in 2008 you had all the bailout and it was all public. It was in the middle of the election thing and what's Obama going to do? What's McCain going to do? And see, Obama had the liberals telling him what to say, which is what the bankers of them wanted him to say. And then McCain, they let him look like he's seen out because he's seen out in ignorant anyway. So so what happened is that in Dodd-Frank, they took out that whole entire process to where now the Federal Reserve can do covert stress tests of these banks and then give them money as they see fit without all the hoopla and the publicity. Because remember, after that, it was Occupy Wall Street and all that other stuff. So they couldn't have that no more. Because remember, liberalism is about employing deception and destruction, and they don't want to be seen. They want to be able to fuck your world. They want to be able to ruin your world and ruin your life, and then you're sitting there wondering what happened. That's how liberals work. So they can't have that whole publicity thing because they have folks camped out in New York, and they're like, okay, they coming in here camping out this time. They're gonna come with sticks and stones the next time, and then they're like, oh my goodness, France. Because remember in France, they slaughtered like 25 rounds of bankers over the centuries. France don't play. Racist country, but they slaughter their elite. They chop heads off, as we all know. And so they said that could be us. And so that's what they did. So this whole entire so we don't even see this coming because all the Fed does is that the Fed just keeps making adjustments and covert ops and money's here to this bank, money's here to that bank. And so what's happening is they're getting the money together with all the hedge funds. So in January, they ain't gonna have their money to pay their bills. They're gonna do another buy up of all the foreclosed properties. So therefore, individuals like myself, who's getting my money together, 007 can't benefit from that because what's going to happen is like what happened in 2008. BlackRock will come and outbid you by $60,000, $70,000. And the thing is, they didn't use that money from profits. They got that money from bailout government money. So we're not even going to be able to compete in this world. And probably by 2030, there's probably not going to be any kind of real estate property that people can even buy. Because the thing is, there's going to be this constant cyclical cycle of taking away your businesses, taking away your this, another pandemic that's bullcrap. And that's just how I feel it's going to go. That's just
Queen Cinnamon, I saw you. You got to go out and come back in. It's not allowing a full link. So go out, Queen Cinnamon, go out and then come back in because I love to hear your opinion. Flagship, you're making some strong points and I appreciate that. I still come back to some of the basics though. When we talk about God, family, and country, if you are in a situation right now, you know that you need food, water, and shelter. You need to make sure that your shelter that I put here, food, water, and shelter, is secured because right now you will be evicted. If you're not making any payments, you need to have a plan where you sit down with a family member or a friend that's more level-headed than you and say, look, I ain't been making no payments. I'm waiting for them to come up with something. You can't wait for something to come up. You've got to have some kind of plan of action. So that's the key thing that you got to keep in mind. You need to have a plan of action. But if you don't have a plan of action, that forbearance and homelessness is going to come about and you're going to be on the street with all your stuff. I mean, what's your thought?
And then also, yes, I 100% agree with you on that too. And also, if you have money now and you have a job now, because things are starting to open up, people are starting to get work again, go to your landlord and start and try to do a negotiation. Try to see what you can do. Because the landlords because don't get it twisted, landlords do look at politics, not the same way that these activists look at, but they look at the situation because here's the thing. If a large body politic of people are saying in one body politic, we will not pay rent. The city and police can't enforce that because there's way too much of us than there are of them. You know what I'm saying? This is not gonna this whole movement that Shirley just showed. It's not just some ghetto black folks or some poor white folks. This is like, oh, these are like middle class people. These are people who lost their job, lost their career, and they're not, making the same amount of money they did. There's a lot of people saying they're not going to pay their rent or pay their mortgage.
Hey,
so the thing is,
hold on a second. I got to step away. You two keep talking. I'll be back in like 3 minutes. I got to go unlock the door for one of my sons. But what you're saying is so
cool.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is people, if you are out there, you didn't pay your rent, because like with my landlord, I just kept paying rent because I had some money saved and I knew this whole thing was a scam. But I'm good now because I got another career. But the thing is that if you're out there and you haven't paid your rent in a long time, work something out with your landlord. Be like, look, I don't have that much money, but could I pay you, start paying my rent now, and then maybe another $50, $100 above, and we got to renegotiate later on in the year. Because the thing is, the landlords are hurting. They need money too. So try to work something out with your landlord, because, in January 1st, they will be evicting you or kicking you out. And then these hedge fund people are going to be just taking up all the damn real estate. What are your thoughts, 007?
You know what, man? The thing is that a lot of people at this point in time, or some of them are so far gone that there's no saving them. And I think at some point they need to they need to start looking at the programs I was mentioning earlier, because the people that were getting kicked out in my neighborhood, were being evicted in my neighborhood, were black people. And I stopped and talked to two. They didn't know what they were going to do. They just knew that because it happened to them. And the thing is that they were supposed to be evicted last year. It's just that the fact that the moratorium saved them. And if I was in their, if I were in their shoes, I would have took that money. I would have found out how to get the money or to relocate. It's just that just wait there for that, just wait. And I understand a lot of people didn't want to show apartments because of the pandemic. I mean, the scamdemic, whatever.
The shamdemic.
Yeah.
The shamdemic.
So my thing is that I honestly, some people are too far gone, and that's and that's just the way it is. And I mean, in some essence, some of them had anything but the blame for themselves. And what's more upsetting is that a lot.
I gotta pause on that one. I'm all about people. I'm all about. But let's just be crystal clear. You know what I'm saying? You can't say it at one point it's a scamdemic, plandemic, and then say people put it on themselves.
Oh no!
You can't have it both ways like that.
I guess what I'm trying to say basically is that some people knew that, and they say, "Hey, I'm not going to pay my rent," and they had all this money, and they busted their money up, and they just started spending in other places as if they didn't know what was going to happen, or was anybody going to save them or not.
Yeah, but that wasn't the majority. I don't think the majority of people were going out there spending money, though. I think you're always going to have those onesie twosies, sort of like with reparations. You're going to have those onesie twosies that go out there and buy all the Cadillacs and buy all the Rolexes and stuff. Yeah, you're going to have those people, but I don't think that was the body politic that were out there just going out there. He's buying this because they have this extra money. I mean, not everyone's like Mansika. Remember that girl Mansika? She had a Hollywood Hills place. She was paying $10,000 a month, and she didn't pay rent for like a year. And then she's on Instagram going to Ruth's Chris for DoorDash. She's DoorDashing Ruth's Chris every night, and then she got all these like bags and Louis Vuitton bags and all this stuff that she's been buying. Yeah, those are like idiots. Those are the outliers.
I didn't hear about that.
Oh yeah, because she rented a house from the producer, because there's this producer who produces the Housewives of Beverly Hills. Not Andy Cohen, but like the back end producer. He owns like a lot of Hollywood Hills real estate. He does like Airbnb, and he does like long-term rentals. And so Masika rented one of his houses for $10,000 a month. And so she didn't pay. She ain't paid in over a year, but she's on Instagram, ordering DoorDash, Ruth's Chris from DoorDash every night for her and her baby. And then also buying a new bag, got a new Birkin, got a new this, got a new that. And so, yeah, those people are out there. Don't get it twisted. And those people, I feel nothing for them. But I think that this whole thing was really messed up. And it is a pandemic. I do believe that the COVID virus is real.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not debating that. But my thing is how to get out. Ruth's Chris from DoorDash every night for her and her baby. You see what I mean? How did it get out? Who released it? That's what I want to know. And the fact that we still ain't got nobody in guillotines yet, that's why I know it was planned. Because there's no way in hell DeMarco and LaQuandra will release a dang virus in America that shut down the world, and they ain't dead by March. That's just not going to happen. So obviously there are higher power people doing all this stuff. So,
wow.
Yeah,
I agree.
So we know the power people are in place. We know that the pandemic is in place. And so now we're dealing with, again, I'm going to go back to the basics, people, the foreclosure, the forbearance, the evictions.
Shirley? Is she there?
Hello?
How'd she get off her own podcast?
Yeah.
Ghetto. Just ghetto.
Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, but the thing is, this homeless thing, but even though there's the pandemic happened, that's ghetto. How you get off your own podcast?
I don't know. That's what you have when you do StreamYard. So I want to know, what is the solution? I mean, okay, so now you got a little money. Shouldn't you be trying to move out of state? Can we look for some cheap housing? Did we get another place to rent? I mean, some of you Negroes got some money. Some of you white people, it's been a year and a half. You ain't been racking up. You've been making $1,000 per person. You ain't got at least 10 to 20,000. We're talking about a year and a half of racking your money up. What have you been doing with all that money?
I ain't seen no Hispanics complaining.
Thank you.
I ain't seen no
Are
Hispanics.
you taking it there? Are you going to take it there today?
Yeah, I got to. I ain't seen no Hispanics complaining.
None. Let me break it down to you. My landlady needed to get her counter replaced. Do you know that in the pandemic, he charged $1,200 to do that? So we were just like, oh, I mean, I didn't even think anything of it because I don't know trades or anything like that. So he's a Latino guy, but he made a mistake and left the folder there. So I'm gonna look in the folder. I'm gonna look in it. So the column that was replaced cost $400, and the rest was just labor.
Oh.
And I'm just like, and so he came to pick up the thing, and I just like looked at him like, you just robbed my landlady, like you just robbed her. And he tried to act like he tried to act like he don't speak English. And so then their son walks up and starts speaking Spanish to him and translate it for me. He's like, that's just the price. That's just the price. And so I didn't even realize this, like trade people, they get paid a lot of money. So I know there's some people out there that got cash because I know trades are freaking, especially in Texas. I know if you're a trades person, I know you got money in the bank. Straight up.
This is the problem when I said with the Black community, I think education is almost a farce because you got your master's and your doctorate. When if you had a trade, if you were an electrician, if you're a plumber, if you know how to work things with your hands or metal or with wood, you know how to build a home, you can get an instant job. Everybody has a trade. I was interested. I was at a store the other day at the health food store, and I was talking to this one white guy, and he was talking about, oh yes, I have my degree in poli-sci. And by the way, he told me that Camilla Wanna Be Black Hair is Caribbean. And I said, no, she's India. She's from India. He says, oh, this is the man who told me he had a degree in poli-sci. And then I said, what do you do for lender? He says, oh, I'm a lender. Okay, so you went to school to get a degree in poli-sci, and then you went to trade school and got your degree. Didn't even get a degree. You just made money in lending. This is the farce of America. If Black people could get more into, even whites, find a trade, you can survive during this pandemic, which is not going to end. It's the reality of how people with trades, like you said, that guy ripped the landlord off, but she couldn't do the job. and she had the money, so she paid him. She didn't care. She had money. She wasn't trying to find the best deal. For me or you, we would have been like, oh, no, partner, I'm going to give me some more quotes before I take you on. But see, people are getting money or have money, and they didn't manage it well, and they were irresponsible in their actions. What's to come afterwards now? Now that we want to kick the can down the road one more time, so we have a fourth stimulus packet happening. After the fourth stimulus,
oh Lord,
what are you people going to do?
Well, here it has to be a poly approach to dealing with it. First and foremost, we got to get away from these Democrats and Republicans. Period. That's number one. We got to get away because we got to get our mind right. We got to get away from these political parties because we cannot be, and we have to turn off the news because they're lying to us. They're straight lying to us. Number two, we got to reassess everything that we do. Like, for example, you keep telling me, reassess yourself. Why are you in California? I'm trying to escape. Trust me. I keep telling you I'm trying to escape California. But the thing is, if you have, like you said, with degrees, if you have a degree or you don't have a skill, you got to get skills. The future is trades, of course, and coding. Trades, coding. That's the future. A poli-sci, if your kids, and also your kid, if they get ready to go to school, if they're not doing something that's going to be transferable, they tell them not to go to college. It doesn't make any sense to go to college unless you're going to be an engineer, doctor, lawyer. You want to be, something like that. It doesn't make any sense to go to college for art history. Why are you going to college for art history? Go to the library. All you got to do is just freaking check out 25 books and read them. Write papers. There's your art history understanding. Period. International relations. All that stuff got to go. We got to change everything. Don't buy shit you don't need.
I think one of the other solutions is which I think is just really truly bullshit. Excuse where I put that, but talking about racism, and I think that our people are talking about that, and that's a conversation that's not going anywhere because racism is not going anywhere. The Democrats got our people on that crap so big that when somebody start talking about it, I run. Because
the reason why I think you're frustrated with racism because these racist Democrats keep putting these weak black folks up in power, and they're not even picking. They weren't even picked by any of us. They were just put there, and on top of that, they ain't doing shit. Like that fucking lady who got the pen from Joe Biden. These old Negroes, that's all they want is a pen from an old slave master. That's all they want. They don't want economics. They don't want to build anything. They want to be recognized by rich white people. That's all they want. And it's disgusting, especially with these dang Congressional Black Caucus folks. So nothing's being solved. The Asian community, they got their stuff. They went in, they saw us working hard, doing stuff. They went in, got it, and went out. And that's what frustrates me is we can't do that same thing. Get in and get out. It keeps going on.
We can't get in and get out either because remember I told you there's leverage involved. If you're allowing these other cultures of people to come here and the government is subsidizing whatever money they have with their money, they're 1 to 2 to you. So whatever one you got, they got 2 to 3 to 4 on them. So that's an advantage for them. When we talked about the Latino community during this pandemic, those people, they had like 4 and 5 families living in one house. Well, they were racking up $20,000, $30,000 a month. Some of y'all don't realize the reality in California.
That is true.
$20,000-$30,000 a month. So some of them are ready to buy a house. Some of them are ready to move. Some of them are ready to start businesses. You're right. They're able to profit off of this situation. And some blacks are as well. I'm not going to beat my people up totally, but the eviction rates will be off the chain because of the inflation, because of the forbearance being released, and people are not going to see it coming. We're trying to wake you up in this video. That's the purpose of our video, is that we're having conversations to talk about people who are irresponsible, who are responsible, and then what do they do? What do we have you people do? Because I've said over again, proper preservation over talking about reparations all the time. Go ahead, Flex.
But also I live in an area that is predominantly Latino, and let me tell you something. There was no stress on nobody face up over here, and the real estate that they're building new houses all around it, all of it was already bought up during the pandemic. And people, like you said, and the rental market is keep increasing because the people that were all renting houses and renting whatever. They're rolling out and buying houses now, or they even buying it. They call the landlord up and say, hey, I'll just buy the house outright with cash, because like you said, the family's already living there. They put some capital improvements in there. They're like, look, we'll just go ahead and buy it up. We'll stay here. Here's your little cash. You ain't got to worry about things from us. And that's happening huge where I'm at. Huge. And they doing just fine. They don't pay taxes because they do a lot of stuff that's like trades and under the counter stuff. And they chilling like a villain. No stress.
Right.
Yeah, I was at my credit union the other day, and Hispanic guy that worked at the bank talking about buying some more property, not buying the property for the first time, but because you're wondering where he got his money from to do this. I'm like I said, I don't want to beat our people up. I just think a majority of us is behind the eight ball. And I think that we need to really. I hate that my people are listening to these politicians because it's going nowhere.
Nowhere.
And that's what I was saying earlier about racism. Those conversations about racism. I'm not saying it's not there, but it's going nowhere. It's seriously going nowhere. It's no solution to anything. Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all these black
Oh,
business
come on. Don't
leaders,
kill us now. Don't kill us now.
it's they. I mean, there are not. They never came up with a solution, and I think the good thing is that there needs to be a solution for everything now.
Did you watch the Juneteenth? Did you watch the highlights from the Juneteenth situation in Tulsa? Not President Biden's insulting speech, but did you see how the congressional black leaders and the bootlicks were behaving? The holy dance, the fake holy dance scene, the Negro spiritual holding hands.
Buck
See,
dancing.
those people are put there by the white supremacist liberals. They put them there just for that. They didn't invite Shirley. They know she here. They know who she is. They got her phone number and everything. They didn't invite Jason Black. They didn't invite what's that economist's name? Oh, they didn't invite economists and people that could talk about the police brutality that happened. Because people think that the community of Oklahoma City, those whites just came over there. No. The white mob came over, then the police came and helped them. Then the military came and bombed. It was like 1, 2, 3 waves. It was a whole system that came and took it all down. It wasn't a one-on-one. And that's the problem that we have. And it's the same thing with, even though, there's a lot of people, I don't know if you're a Kyle Rittenhouse fan or not, but the bottom line is, let's take the situation, take away the situation. You had him, a civilian child, backing up the police. And that's how it rolls. People just think that we just lost to these people. No, we're losing to government institutions upon government institutions.
Yeah, but the government institution is also disabling us for a reason. That's
exactly.
Why I'm trying to help people understand. Shout out to NC Worker. Welcome, NC Worker. Thank you for coming in. Tell us your thoughts. Give us your thoughts. You're kind of breaking up. See if you can get in a better location.
Okay. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's very it's very interesting that I think on one hand, I think you asked a very important question as far as with the money that people have had throughout this year and a half, almost 2 years. I get it. You may have children, bills, and things of that nature. But if you're getting paid $2,400 plus, whatever the case may be, let's say you normally get paid maybe $1,600. Well then that bears to differ. What happens to the rest of that money? I think what really goes down to is how our use of economics and how well we budget, especially we as blacks.
Oh, Steph, I forgot about that unemployment stuff that we were getting. That's right. Thank you for bringing that up. That's true.
Well, yeah.
People were making more money.
Right. So if you get, let's say your job gives, let's say unemployment, you get $400. Okay. So you getting, let's say you were already making let's just say $500. So now you're getting $900 a week. That's almost $1,000 a week. So now, where is everything going? You know, how are you budgeting? You know, and look, this is not down anyone. Look, I definitely have had my financial struggles, but the thing is, though, how is it that what is the plan? What is the plan from here on out? Because things aren't going to just keep staying like it is. Things are going to drastically change. It is going to seem like it drastically changed, or it's going to seem like the system's being unfair, because the system is unfair when it's unfair when you're not prepared. And what I mean is, when you aren't prepared for some type of crisis or anything, that you don't have any type of strategic emergency plan, then that's when you get hurt the most, because that's when you really get knocked off your feet.
Yep.
And so, you know, it's just one of those things that I think better planning, also financial planning, also goes into effect too as well. I get it, you may not know, but I mean, there's some type of basis that I believe that all of us do know. You know, I mean, if you know that your rent is $1,200, why not go, if you're getting that unemployment plus the money that you also get into as well, then the stimulus as well. I mean, why not put some of that to the side, so that way you can at least have at least like a month or two worth rent, something. You know, put something to the side just in case, you know, or if need be, start looking at nearby areas that maybe you can move to. Even if you can't move out of state, okay, what about houses or apartments the next county over, or even the next city over, or next town over? You know, start looking, you know, as far as in that aspect too as well. Because sometimes you might not be able to live, you know, where you're currently living now, but doesn't mean the next town over you can't afford to live there. So, I mean,
wow, that's true. Well, the thing is that, you know, people should have money in their pockets, because I completely forgot about the unemployment, because I remember I was getting my hair braided, and the lady was telling me that she has some friends that were just like chilling. They're on unemployment. They got told to go home. You see that they're making like 3 times than what they made, you know, working. So I'm just like, oh snap! So I forgot about that. That's totally true. So so if there's a mass evictions, would y'all feel sorry for the people, or?
I mean, I think I look at it this way: we're all going to feel sorry for people who are evicted, because it's a horrible thing that's going on. But I think that what I want to wake everyone up to the fact that this is going to be the worst eviction, worst inflation in U.S. history. And the reason why I say that, again, is because the federal government is the one that told people, don't make any payments, don't pay your mortgage, don't pay your rent, and stay home. People did that. And in lieu of that, they kicked the can down the road for 1.5 years. And like NC said, okay, now you got the EDD money, you got the unemployment money, $1,000 a person. Like I told you, you got, some of y'all were racking up in your house anywhere between 10 to 20,000 to 30,000 a month. And then we talked about earlier how people were buying Louis Vuittons and bags and cars and stuff, up there buying cryptocurrency and all this. But I've said to you before, food, water, and shelter. If you have not thought about preservation for the safety of your children and for your family and for the elderly people that you're responsible for, no, people aren't going to have sympathy for you. They're just not, because you are an adult that should have been responsible. Okay, number one. Number two, earlier 007 had given a couple of places, they are giving rental assistance to help people who are behind. You guys need to look per state and every city and every county, and also nonprofit organizations are out there. You need to be researching these companies that can help you. You're not destitute. It's not the end of the world. If you haven't been making payments, I'm not here to beat you up. I'm here to try to wake you up so that you're not like one of those people we saw homeless in the video that we showed at the beginning of this video.
And then another thing that's happening too, even before, because remember, Shirley, before COVID happened, you were doing videos of people living out of their car.
Yes.
Living out of their car. And these are not like these are people who had I think that's another video I was watching. But it was a lady who had these are bachelor's and master's degrees, because they couldn't afford the rent anymore. They had tech people living out their car. Then they started selling, then that's when the whole truck life, off the grid living thing was being popularized. To make it seem like it's, you're not failing. I'm sorry, I'm not living in no damn car. Bump all that.
Let me eliminate some people asking me, are we going to talk about critical race theory? I'm not. This is not about race theory. This is about preservation. Yes. It's beyond race. This is beyond race. You guys keep talking about, the critical race theory. Let's talk about the theory. There's no theory. We're talking about factual. That's the problem right now. Theories and theses, and let's get proposals on the table where we'll have discussions. This is what Congress has screwed American and Black Americans up on, especially when we talk about concepts and ideas and proposals and theses and theories. Forget those words. Get those words out of your mouth. Think about survival. Think about, damn, I got to live. I got to pay my bills. You need to have a sense of urgency, of preservation. That's what we're talking about here on this video. Preservation, the reality checks that we're going to have more people on the street that are just going to be destitute, and it's just going to continue to be filthy. I don't understand why people don't see that.
And they're going to be robbing your behind. You're going to be out there trying to get your grub on, your cheeseburger on. They're going to say, that's my cheeseburger, punk, and take your cheeseburger. And it's going to be a situation. Because I know if I'm homeless, I'm taking somebody's food. I'm taking your food. I'm sorry. You're going to have to fight me.
They taking martinis.
Okay, so let me tell you a story. A friend of mine was in Hollywood, and they were saying that their friend was having a martini, having a good time drinking that martini, and a homeless person walked right up to him and snatched it off their plate.
Wow.
Snatched the martini while they were there. It's a petty crime. Petty theft is under $1,000. So you can steal in California under $1,000 and don't pay nothing. It's called petty theft. Petty theft. This is Seattle, Washington right now. Look, this is Seattle. Seattle.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Let me see.
Look, this is Seattle.
Liberal city. Liberal
city. This is 2019. Now, this is 2 years ago. God knows what it looked like now. Yeah.
And we have a police officer now.
I was told the police force walked away. I got to look that story up. I was told the police force walked away.
It's in the headline. Look at it. It's in the headline.
Yeah, 50 of them walked away. And there's counting. 50 of them walked away. And what happened was basically the mayor wanted to have the police officers deal with people in a certain kind of way that they were not used to dealing with. Then they prosecuted one officer for pushing a lady back. That's why another group of police officers left. So a total of 50 left, so far. And
and interesting
now
little
Washington
side note.
looked
That's
the same
what
way.
they let them. That's what they let them go for pushing a lady, but they killed on Black people up there. Oh, that's no problem. You go ahead and go back to work. Yeah, whatever. I don't feel sorry for them. They're liberals. I feel nothing.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Let's see if I can get this video. You say you say you don't feel nothing.
I feel nothing. Just like when Italy was having the COVID, people was dying in Italy like crazy. I felt nothing.
Now, why do you say you feel nothing? Why are you not feeling anything? I can't get this video to play.
What they tried to do to Ethiopia.
Tell me more.
If you do evilness, if you're evil in your history, I feel nothing when you get karma. And so Italy was late to the whole slavery game. So they try to come in at the tail end and try to take over Ethiopia and got their asses whooped.
And to celebrate Chicago style.
Hold on.
Be sure you have plenty of Blue Mountain Maddie's deep dish on hand to celebrate anything and everything. Get 10% off your next Blue Mountain Maddie's order delivered by Tastes of Chicago.
Okay, here we go. This is the story. This is Seattle.
State lawmakers aren't happy with how Seattle's handling
This is
homeless
2 years
camps
ago.
along state highways.
A Project Seattle story highlighted the safety issues and the fires in those camps. And because of that story, lawmakers want changes. Como's Matt Markovich has the new developments.
At some point, we got to step up and man up and get it done.
State senators, both Republican and Democrat, showed frustration with how
This is
Seattle
before the
handles
pandemic,
encampments
right?
that are dangerously close to traffic on state highways.
This is
It's
before the pandemic.
inconceivable to me that we allow people to live where they are living.
At issue, the state spending more money on dedicated WSDOT crews to just clean up homeless camps. But the underlying issue is Seattle's allowance of camps on state right-of-ways in the first place.
There's a 72-hour rule. I think maybe that's going a little too far.
The state has given Seattle the authority to police camps along highway right-of-ways, but now the Democratic state chairman of the Transportation Committee wants to revisit that agreement.
I mean, we can't wait. We just have to go in there and clean this mess up.
And that would mean a change. The state taking back authority of its own land with quicker removals of camps that pose a hazard, and not wait for Seattle to take action. It puts Seattle's Director of Human Services on the defensive.
Is it okay for them to go in there and clean the side up immediately without 72-hour notice?
It is, if it's causing a hazard to public safety, individual safety, or public health.
Typically, Seattle has been allowing camps to establish.
Wait, so can you pause?
Then coax.
Oh, go ahead.
So now here's the thing. People are not stupid. Now, you're homeless, you ain't stupid. You know not to sleep close to the freeway. The bottom line is the people were driving and seeing the homeless encampments, and it didn't look good. So then they use this public safety. You know what public safety is? Making sure people have careers. Making sure that you're not sitting here telling people to come move to your town and you give them all these damn tax breaks while the middle class is being taxed up the hill. That's public safety. Because that's what causes all these liberal cities. They tax you and tax you. You got sales tax, CRV tax, local tax, on top of what you got to pay for with the damn with you buying stuff. So if you care about public safety, quit freaking raising freaking taxes, and then spending it on dumb shit. Oh, we're gonna go ahead and get this company to come in, and we're gonna just go ahead and give them free tax dollars, and they don't have to pay nothing, but they're gonna just be here. And they're gonna create like low-paying jobs that's not gonna be even attainable. And they're able to do that because guess what? They got free tax money. So all they did was just pocket the money. These people are hypocrites. You cannot trust a liberal. People, never trust a damn liberal.
Campers with the offers of homeless services and shelter to get them out, and then issue 72-hour warnings before the state cleanup crew comes in.
There is gallons and gallons of syringes and needles that are picked up in every cleanup.
Along with the feces, garbage, and rats is a big health and safety concern.
Oh, Shirley, one more time.
The business.
Now those needles. Now see how dumb this is. Now remember, Shirley, you did a video on this too. They allowed the people to get free needles to shoot up heroin, and they got those dang places where you can go ahead and shoot up for free. Now, mind you, black folks, we went to jail for a little bit of crack, went for a little bit of weed. We still going to jail now, even in Washington where the weed is legal. So we don't get the change. But he's sitting here complaining about the needle problem when they were the ones who gave it to him in the first place.
It's true. Yeah, no, you guys go back and find those videos, but you're absolutely right, especially in the San Francisco area. This is Seattle, but in the Bay Area,
same thing. Seattle too.
They have centers where you can go in and you can shoot yourself up for your drug and then dispose your needle anywhere. Who does that?
Meanwhile, little DeMarco, who has a little bit of weed on him, he got to go to jail for 5 years. So this is still happening.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Had sewage running out of their property, guess what would happen to them? But we just accept it because we say, oh, they're homeless.
Is there no trespassing indicated in that area?
Yes.
And you still need to give 72-hour notice?
Typically.
One senator suggested a new sign.
If you squat here, you may be evicted out of here instantly with no notice whatsoever.
Which is not necessarily the way Seattle does things. In Olympia, Matt Markovich, Como News.
Seattle, California, Detroit, New York, Texas. This is an up and going epidemic, people. We're about almost coming to the close of our video. Thank you guys so much for watching and chiming in. Just real quick, 007. What happened? It's Flagship. Who came out? Oh, okay. I want to get your last thoughts. Each one of you guys will close out with Flagship. But NC Worker, what would you like to say towards the end of all this? What should we be doing?
Well, one, I had to say this, is that they're importing all these illegals and they got housing. And the fact is that we have people out here that still doesn't have housing. But what I wanted to wrap it up at is basically get in contact with your councilmen and your board of supervisors, see what programs are out there. Even if you don't have the problem, there's somebody I'm sure that may be getting evicted. So reach out to your councilman, your board of supervisors, website. If you live in LA, 211 is good to use for homeless situations. And reach out to your city council, for if you need information for somebody that's being homeless. There you go.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, 007. NC Worker, what would you like to say?
Well, as always, thank you for allowing me on your panel. And, we got to start thinking ahead now. This is not the time to be thinking about right now. We need to start planning, start executing that plan. As you stated earlier, we don't need to worry about right now about the racism and the type of laws. There are certain laws we do need to worry about, yes. And yes, racism still affects us. But right now, our racism is finances right now. Our racism is budgeting, planning, and thinking ahead. So as always, thank you for allowing me on your panel, and I hope everyone have a great day.
Well, thank you so much. I look forward to you coming back next time we come live. I like what you had to say. You said a lot of good things. And Flagship, my sidekick, what you like?
Well, I would say thank you very much for having me on your show. And the thing is, my last word is going to be no words, because at this junction in time, there's nothing else that we can say. There's nothing else that Shirley can say. What'd you say? Save yourself. Save your family.
Self-preservation. Yep. That's what I would encourage all of you guys to do. Sit down and have a plan of action. Write down the 5 negatives and write down the 5 positives that you have going on in your life. And then if you've got some negatives where you are not making payments and you are in forbearance, your credit is screwed up, by the way. So don't think about you trying to think you can use your credit. And that's SOL. You straight out of luck on that one. So you need to start working on putting some cash together and trying to come up with at least 20 to 25 to 30% down if you want to purchase a house, or explain to the landlord why you were not making payments when you need to find another place to stay. So I encourage you to really look at your situation or talk to a friend who are in this situation, and don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. Ask God to give you discernment. Learn to pray. Ask God to give you a clarity of where you should be in your life with your health and your mind and your body, and just pace yourself, because it's going to be very sad to walk outside of your front door and outside of your apartment or condo, and you'll see furniture, and that could be you. You'll see broken TVs and couches, and that could be you. So don't be non-sympathetic, because that could be you. And that's going to be growing nationwide. The filth throughout the city will be growing, and we'll have politicians like you saw in that last video, or those men are comfortable in their lifestyle while the other American people are suffering. In the meantime, we have an administration that's irresponsible and allowing immigration and migration to still come into this country. So you have a lot of people, a lot of situations, and a lot of struggle going to occur. The question is, how will you be the calm in the storm? You need to find the calm in the storm and be that for somebody. Be that for yourself. Be that for your family. Ask God to give you disclosures and discernments of where you need to be. Begin to pray and ask for patience. Ask for God's for healing and understanding, so that when you go through the dark time, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Always look for the option. There's always an option. But if you are hopeless and you're not preparing, think about when an NC worker said it. There is a preparation of plan. If you don't have a plan of action to help you through this situation we're about to embark upon, or we're already in, then you're going to be SOL. You just be straight out of luck. Because the reality is the government is not there to save you. It is to disable you, especially if you're Black, and dismantle you. Socialism is prevalent right now, not capitalism. Ideologies that are being put out there that the government is the all for all, well, they're not. because they don't even know what they're doing. They're basically being irresponsible and allowing inflation to concur, because they're saying that interest rates are going to go up. How can you allow interest rates to go up when you have foreclosures coming on the market? How are you going to foreclose on people and then raise the rates up like that's going to balance the scale? It don't work like that. Plus, you have a lot of foreign money. That doesn't mean that those people are going to work in a loan modification for you. The loan mods will come into place. Some banks may work with you. Others won't, because they're private entities. These private entities, they want their properties back. So a lot of your loans that you guys have, they might be with a private entity or a servicing center with your lender. You need to look into that and say, oh my God, if I'm in this situation, those people, they don't have to put a moratorium. They don't have to put you in any type of plan. They can just straight evict you and take your property. If all due respect, if you're in this situation, you might just sell your property, so at least you won't lose all the equity out of your house. That's going to be hard, because many of you guys, your family inherited properties. You'll have to be in a position where you're like, you know what, just sell it, because if at least you sell it, you won't be out on the street and you won't walk away with nothing. You'll walk away with something. So anyway, if you need to email me, my name is shirleyhussar@gmail.com. You can also go to caltexashomes.com, where I'm working with people on relocation and restructuring. Otherwise, I will pray that God continues to bless you and cover you in the name of Jesus, that you will ask God to give you discernment, that you will use wisdom in all that you do about your life, and that you will continue to hold your head up and not down. Stay awoke, stay conscious, and move forward. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, guests, for being on.
Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you. Good night.